Hello, everyone, and blessed be. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to leave that blooper in there. um, I recently did a challenge on the Facebook group that I help admin, and I thought it would be good to kind of tell you guys a little bit about it too and see who wants to challenge themselves. I have talked about this before. I've always done this. And I think everybody has before they picked up a book or found their path or whatever. I've always felt the magical properties of something versus finding it in a book or on a list. That isn't to say that starting out there isn't wrong. I've done that. I have books on magical properties of things. Um, But I also think it's very important to challenge yourself to find out what the magical properties of something are according to you and to realize that that's the right magical property. You can definitely go to the lists if you just have no idea or you're looking for ideas or you need a place to start. That's totally fine too. And if those lists resonate with you, that's absolutely great. I'm not saying that those lists are wrong. I'm saying those lists are written by one person based on either what they read on another list or what those properties present to them or based on myth or lore or legend, which can all be very interesting. But when it comes down to your spiritual path and your magical workings, my belief, again, you do you. My belief is for it to truly be my own path, it has to come from me. So even if I read the list, I need to confirm that that's really how I feel about that stone or herb or oil or whatever it is. So on the Facebook page, I challenged people to do this, to get something, to write it down, to spend time with something, hopefully many things, but start out somewhere and spend time with it, hold it, have some quiet time with it, and then journal what they discover. And it might change in a month or two. It might change tomorrow, but then go back in and journal that too, and journal why it changed and how it changed. So I set this challenge and then I didn't start it myself. For one, busy life. For two, I've always done it mentally, so it's always there in my mind anyhow. And then I do what I do and I overthought the situation. It was, where am I going to put it? How am I going to do it? Am I going to draw pictures? I can't draw. I can barely draw stick people, okay? How am I going to organize it? I started driving myself crazy. And I know there's other people out there like me, and I know there are some that are not. But, you buy these journals. I have some. I have more than I care to admit. And they're blank. Because I get a beautiful journal. Oops, sorry. This has a dragon on it. Clasp. Gorgeous paper. And I'm scared to write on it. What if I mess it up? Okay, I'm not that scared. But I can't bring myself to decide where to start, what to do, whatever. And I have a tendency of doing that to the point where I don't do. And so I told myself I needed to stop. I didn't have a big 3-ring binder. This is a very small one. Got it at the dollar store. And I said, just do it. Just go with what you have right now. You can change up later, whatever. I printed this out online. My ink started going wonky, and I had to stop myself and say, just do it. And I did. again, well, it wasn't procrastinating. I really wanted to do it. I just felt I had to do all these pre-things first. So I did do a little prompting sheet of ideas. I don't have to go by them. I can add to it. It's just some ideas if I draw a blank. And then I made this divider. I made this divider again instead of doing, but that's okay. You know, I finally told myself to stop and challenged myself to do one, just one. And I did it this morning. And I took one that was more familiar to me. I had said go with something that you haven't looked up a lot of, but since I already am in the mindset to kind of go against the grain unless it really resonates with me, I grabbed what was nearest to me, or again, it just was not gonna happen. Sometimes that first step is the hardest. So this is, again, a 3-ring binder. This isn't a plastic thing. Doesn't have to be. You can draw your own. You don't even have to have this. I wanted a 3-ring binder in case I decided to go alphabetical, or so I didn't have to go alphabetical. If that's how I wanted them organized, I could switch them up. Maybe I don't want to do flowers and then herbs. Maybe I just want the whole thing alphabetical. This got rid of the excuse of how do I organize it, because I can do whatever I want. I wanted parchment paper. Well, I'm trying not to buy, and I will do a video if anybody's interested on magical paper on a budget, but I just had to make myself do it. So I got my jar of lavender. This is lavender that's actually been given to me by a coworker and a friend. So some of it's still on the stem. And if you don't have that, that's fine. If it's salt, go to your cupboard, grab an herb, get a piece of paper. If you need prompting ideas, write those down first so you have them there every time you do this, in case you just kind of go blank. You do not have to follow them step by step. I do think the date and time are good ideas, because if your mind changes or your path changes, you could go back and say, oh, that was from 2 years ago or 2 months ago or whatever. I think that would be helpful. But I lit a candle. I made it to where it was a quiet space. It was just me. There was no interruptions. I think that's very important too. And I just kind of rubbed my fingers around in it. I looked at it as a whole. I picked up each one. Of course, I smelled it. Oh my gosh. I call lavender my knockout drops. I don't have problems sleeping, but I love the smell of lavender when I sleep. Some people don't. Some people can't stand it. So somebody else's reaction could be very different. And that is the whole point. You can go onto all these lists. They're going to tell you what lavender, the magical properties of lavender are. But you might be one of those people who cannot stand the smell of lavender. You don't want it anywhere around you, or you have an allergic reaction, or it causes an asthma attack. Well, that's not going to feel very comforting and loving to you. So I took it out. I poured some in my hand. I poured some on the table and just kind of rubbed my hand around it. I spent time with it. Then I wrote a little bit about it. And I didn't do a lot of journaling in this one, because it was a very weird feeling. I love to write. I'm a writer. I write books. Nothing published. Don't get me wrong. I like to write my own stuff. Doesn't mean anybody wants to read it. Poetry, whatever. So I do like to write, but it was kind of a new situation for me. And I didn't want to pressure myself to come up with 4 pages on lavender, or, you know, did I have visions or anything? I wanted to go with whatever came out of me easily and quickly for the first one. So I just said what the herb was. It was dried by me. And this is regular paper. You can get this at the dollar store or any store. Regular old lined paper. Had the holes I needed. Yes, this can rip. Yes, it can age in time. I'm okay with that. I was not doing this because I was getting caught up in all the pre stuff. I think we do that with a lot of things. I do it with a lot of things. So I had to challenge myself to just do it. So I wrote down the date, the time. I did put the moon cycle. It's a full moon. I put what day of the week it is. And I put that it felt feminine to me. Okay. If you look up something and it says it's masculine and it's ruled by the planet Jupiter, and you're like, oh my gosh, I envisioned this beautiful woman in this purple gown standing in front of me in a field of flowers, then it's feminine to you. Again, books are amazing. Information is amazing. I love history. I love myths and lore and legends and things like that. I really do. But when it comes to my own practice and my beliefs, I want to say I believe it, and not because I read it somewhere. The temperature, how it felt to me, what the vibrations felt like, the energy, the look, just staring at it, what emotions it evoked in me, and then what it just kind of said to me down here. Just said, and that's it. That's it. I didn't go on and journal. I didn't go on and talk about a lot of things or how I would use it, which I might do with another one. But I did it. I got one done. And I really liked doing it. Again, like I said, I keep saying again, sorry. I've always done this in my head. But this was a different kind of a challenge for me, to put it on paper, to really look at it, to go through each of those steps, or not in that order and not all the steps all the time, but to really spend time with whatever objects I'm going to decide. It could be eggshells next. It could be a rose quartz next. It could be my mortar and pestle next. It could be some blades of grass from outside. Just do one. If you have a blank journal and you're okay with opening it up and just writing your heart out, do that. But the point is not to get so caught up on having to have everything perfect to start, and just do it. So I wanted to share that, my own personal experience, and kind of telling on myself. I also did the challenge for another reason too, to kind of put myself on the spot. Who am I to give a challenge and then not even do it myself? So I thought I would share. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've done something like this, how did you feel about it? What did you think? And do you have any tips? Other than that, I hope you enjoyed. Blessed be.